talk through his story a little bit. So let's get your undivided attention up here, please.
Yeah, sure. All right, Sports Center session. I was debating about it because technically I know I'm not an NBA star, all of the great things that you want to hear. But looking at the intercession for the last 2 weeks, it kind of motivated me to say I need to feel like some of the storylines and just life lessons of like wanting to be here in life and wanting to make it in life. You know, sometimes we have different courses, and my particular story is one of those stories where I didn't think I would be here today, kind of thing. So I thought I could break it down as basically from the time I started up until this point. So just to kind of give a background, I'm originally from Savannah, Georgia. All right, Savannah, Georgia, about 4 hours away from here. I was born and raised. I got into sports pretty much. My dad used to actually take me to the parks. All right, the parks was a big thing in Savannah, Georgia, to where if you could not survive at the park, you would either get beat up, pushed off the court, or you just couldn't come back anymore. It was really one of those environments to where, you know, when I saw my dad out there, I was on the sidelines, and then it kind of got me into a spirit of competitive nature, because if you couldn't survive, you had to go home. That's just kind of how it was. And so to see my dad actually, you know, engaging with the courts and everything, it was a beautiful situation. So that's kind of where I started, kind of my competitive nature of seeing that and just kind of having that drive. During that early childhood, that was kind of like the motivation. So I kind of started with football. Football for me was like my beauty and passion. Everybody thinks that I love basketball. I know y'all think that that's really what it was. I hated it. I thought it was soft. I thought it was weak. I thought it was no purpose of it because nobody got hit. I was one of those physical players who loved the contact. So football was like a passion for me, and I started that. Would pick them up, bust them up in the streets, on the concrete, on the grass, and that's just kind of how the game goes. So if you couldn't survive, that's how the mentality went. If you couldn't survive, you had to go home. And I know fast forward how I got into the contact and how I got my nickname. I know some of y'all have heard it over the course of time, Speedy. The storyline was of how I actually got that particular name. As you see, I'm naturally fast. If you think I'm fast now, back then it was a whole different story. But how I got the name Speedy, there was a pick 'em up, bust 'em up at a summer camp. All right, pick 'em up, bust 'em up means whoever has the ball football, you pick 'em up, you bust 'em up, you throw 'em on the ground. It don't matter if you hurt, get off the, like you said, get off, get out of here. So that's kind of, but it was about 30 to 40 people on this particular field, and once you have the ball, everybody attacks you. In this situation, to this day, I was feeling it. Got the ball, and I'm running touchdown to touchdown. People trying to catch me, they couldn't catch me. I probably scored back to back to back to back, and all of a sudden, some older guy from the streets, he stopped the whole game, told everybody to stop, literally stop in the middle of the tracks. He said his name is not his real name, Anthony. That's not his real name anymore. His real name now from on is Speedy. So from that day on, I was initiated by the streets, I would say, because he was one of those guys that was well respected, but he stopped the whole game, and from that day, it was like 7 to 8. Nobody called me by my real name. Literally, nobody called me by my real name. So within the community of the sports world, the camps just around the city, everybody adults, they would call me by my nickname. So that's kind of how the storyline of the Speedy came about. And even in elementary schools, the teachers, that was one of my storylines. They knew me as Speedy. They knew I was one of the fastest people. So my class would always win all the races because I had the leg, the fastest leg. I had all the awards pretty much in elementary school for like records or whatever, just whatever they used to do. I forgot, field day, killed it. So that was kind of how that happened. Kind of moving on to middle school. Middle school was kind of one of my first adversities, I would say, in sports, is because when I got to middle school, my parents were very big on education. And this is why I like telling the story, because my parents were very big on education. That's why I'm kind of on you guys a lot, is because I value that very much. When I got to middle school, my parents did not let me play, knowing that I was good at football. He let me play football, but basketball, he would not let me play for the school. Why? because he felt like I needed to do my grades. My grades wasn't the best, so he said, you're not playing. And my parents stuck with that pretty much the whole time. They said you cannot. Now, how the adversity is, kind of like the Brad Burrows story. The coach who just got there at the middle school, you know, he had started his basketball team. He already had his team set. He already had it set, but because my parents would let me play, I used to sixth grade used to play the seventh graders and eighth graders. And of course, my sixth grade team, you know, we would always challenge the older kids. So we was doing them. Me and my friend John, we would do them, cross them up, da-da-da. So the coach actually saw me playing, and that's why I say it's kind of, you want to be mindful when you're doing things, whether it's the weight room, whether it's the classroom, wherever you at, you never know who's watching. And literally the gym teacher is just kind of looking at us playing the game and seeing that we crossing over, doing all these things. And he was like, well, why didn't you come out for the basketball team? I said, my parents will not let me because I can't do this, so I got to do this program at the school. He can't play. He said, I need you on my team. I said, you don't know my parents, they're not gonna let me play. That's one of those situations where I knew I was good enough to play, and I know I had the talent to play, but then I knew education was overriding everything, and my parents wouldn't let me. So that storyline pretty much went to where he actually went to my parents. That's why I say it's kind of critical to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do at any point in time, because you never know who can change your situation. He went to my parents and said, hey, I need your child on my team. My parents said no. He was like, I need your child on my team. My parents said no. He then said, okay, well, what if I work out something to where he had to do the program and da-da-da-da, and then he could come to practice. So at that point, he changed my situation. My parents said, we'll try it. That was a big deal because now the team was great. Now we went from a great team to a good team, and now this is the first charter school over there. Now we're competing with some of the bigger middle schools and actually winning games. So just that storyline alone was kind of one of the biggest adversities I would say in middle school, because I wasn't even supposed to be playing. I was only playing football at the time, and I was excelling in football, doing very well. But then his story, him, Mr. Cheney, able actually going to change my parents' mind because they were set. That changed the whole dynamic of Overthrow Academy, which is my middle school experience, because now you had kids coming from other schools trying to transfer just because they want to play, because we're actually winning games. We got a good sporting facility now. You know, we're playing at a church. So in middle school, and we did pretty good over the middle school course. That was an actual great time, I would say, in life. Very good time. Then moving up to high school. High school, this was another challenging adversity for me, because in high school, I actually, I don't know if anybody ever heard of the baccalaureate IB program, the International Baccalaureate. Basically, it's like an AP course, but it's times 10. So in middle school, because we were so good at basketball, I had one of the top high schools. It was like one of the top high schools in the city of Savannah. They went to the state title, they done won rings, but everybody was two schools that everybody in Savannah wanted to go to. Now, to give you the background about Savannah, Savannah is a beautiful city. Beautiful city. I don't know if you've ever been there, Mr. Bryan. It's a beautiful city. He probably saw the beautiful side. Yeah. The side that I grew up on, a lot of my friends had guns. A lot of my friends sold drugs. A lot of my friends fought pretty much anywhere we went. A lot of my friends, like I said, they were in and out of jails. A lot of my friends it's just the nature of where the environment was. Could not escape it. Now, it was up to me, and I understood it because I had parents. It was up to me to have those decisions. So, for example, one of the storylines that I tell people is when I got jumped in a neighborhood, only because of what I was doing being a kid, trying to be tough, not trying to be tough, but just trying to explore sometimes. Sometimes we go in these environments and don't know what the outcome could be. I ran in somebody else's neighborhood trying to talk to some girls, because you know I loved the girls back then. I had to. But ran into me and a friend went in somebody else's neighborhood, and you know, we saw the girls talk to them. So as we riding out the neighborhood, you know, people took it as that's just the nature of the environment. If you're in people's neighborhoods, you just don't do it. You gotta be mindful, checking kind of thing. And we saw the guys, and the guys came over, and it was like, what you doing in our neighborhood? Kind of thing. And so me and my friend, he was kind of like, hesitant, but then he just took off. Me, unfortunately, you know, trying to play the big guy, trying to play the tough, y'all ain't gonna do nothing, da 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 da. Y'all not gonna touch me, da 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 da. And guess what they did? They touched me. They snatched my chain. You know, that's just the nature of the business. Now, yes, I fought back, but at the same time, when it's 3 to 4 people, it's a little different. But my point is, the nature of the environment of Savannah is kind of like a crab in the bucket mentality. And even to this day, we talk about it like as adults, some of my friends, it's just the nature of the crab. Nobody really wants to see people succeed. So for me, the mental mindset was a big thing growing up, because you're in these neighborhoods and then you're seeing these type of things. You got to make the decision, say, hey, you're gonna do what? You're gonna fight these? Okay, all right. Y'all go have a good time. Oh, y'all smoking what? Okay, go ahead. Oh, y'all gonna rob the old lady? No. Because if my parents, you know, that was kind of the decisions I was kind of going through. And not all of it was that. You definitely have to surround yourself by different people, but sometimes the environment that you're in, you can't really avoid it. So coming up, so that's why it brings me back to 9th grade. As an 8th grade, we did so well. We were such a good team. One of the top coaches in Savannah at the high school, 2 of them actually, Savannah High and Beach. Everybody wanted to go there. The problem with those 2 schools was they were hood schools, unfortunately. They were environments to where, like you said, kind of have what you see on the news with some of these other high schools where they're fighting, they're bringing stuff. Police is there all the time. It's one of those type of schools, but the basketball team is one of the best teams there. They have the best players, everything. The problem is, the coach came to my dad, shook his hand, and said, hey, I want your son. He came after the game, I want your son. He's coming to my school, da 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 da. And to me, I was excited. That was the best thing, because I'm like, yo, this is Savannah High. Everybody wants to play for this coach. He's one of those type of coaches. And the problem is, my parents are like, no, he's not coming. He came and he kept coming. He used to knock on my door, he ate dinner with us. I was like, oh, my daddy gotta say, yeah, he eating dinner with us? He eating food with us? Oh, he gotta let me go. He said no. He kept saying no, so I'm like, daddy. I said, and then I played actually in the summer. They used to do a summer camp, but I used to play with them over the summer. And we, you know, I'm actually playing with the varsity. Like, during the summer camps, I'm playing with the varsity. I'm playing back up behind one of the top point guards at the school. He's a senior this year, and I was actually getting playing time, me and a few other sophomores. And so I'm thinking, I have to go here. I got playing time. Daddy, I gotta go here. We on. And he said no. So I'm like, well, what's going on? He was like, I don't feel comfortable with the environment. He said, I think the educational level is not what it is. So it kind of threw me off. And at that point in time, I'm your age. It doesn't make sense to me. It don't make no sense, because why wouldn't you let me go somewhere where I know I might can win a ring, we might can go places, I might get scholarships to get us, you know, I can go for free, all kind of stuff like that. So he just said no, and then what happened was he said, okay, well, this is what I do. You're not going to that school because I don't care about basketball. You need your education. He said, well, you can go to this all-boys school. I said, excuse me? All-boys school? He said, yeah. He said, Benedict. He said, yeah, you could get a scholarship over there. You know, you can stay focused. You can do it. I said, no. So I took a visit, and think about it. All-boys school. What do you think is happening in all-boys school? Fights? Oh. What else? Say it again? Now, mind you, this is a private all-boys school. So that means there's a little bit of money involved. So think about it. If it's drugs, a lot of it. Drugs, fights, and egos. Yeah. So in my mind, and you know, when I saw all of this, I told my daddy, I said, well, why don't you want me to go to this school? I said, I didn't see any, you know, you see some drugs, but like the drugs were different. This is maybe some weed. This is like marijuana. This is some stuff I ain't seen before. Like, you know what I'm saying? So because the money is different, they have access to stuff. So I tried to persuade my daddy to say, hey, let me go to this school. I can survive.